Well, good morning. How's everybody? Well, I had a shampoo this morning and there was no cream rinse, and so I now have a bird's nest. And it's a very dreary day out here in the big world. I am leaving. I wonder where it is I am. I think I knew it a few minutes ago. Shamokin, Pennsylvania. It's kind of pretty. I like it when it's dreary like this. I have my heat on in the car, but it's 16 Celsius, so it's not bad out there. The mountains are so pretty. They're not amazing, but they're pretty, and they're all cloaked in cloud, and the clouds are low. Well, that's the second dead deer in 2 minutes. All this meat goes to waste, you know. In Canada, you don't ever find a dead deer, because if you see a dead deer, you always see people picking it up. People that hit it take it home. If not, the next guy who comes along takes it. At least where I live, out in the boonies. Look at how pretty it is. Can you see how pretty it is here? Oh yes, lovely truck. Isn't that beautiful? So last night, I wrote down all of the sentences that I've had to use to talk to Willem, the Dutch sentences. Whenever I Skype with him, I have my microphone and we Skype every night. And then we just leave the Skype on, and he goes to bed. And so the next day, I get to see out the window of my house. And I can hear him in the distance playing the piano. It's nice because it's like being there. I'm there, I just can't walk around or move. And he spends most of his time when he's home sitting at the computer. He does indexing genealogy for the church. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you do genealogy, you may have used it too. Third deer. That is too many. This is really pretty. We're in the mountains. I like this. Very nice. Good idea. So let me get my cruise control on. Oh, Ravine is in 1 mile. Didn't I check out Ravine before? I love checking out towns. Oh, it's so pretty. Bet you can't see it because then I'd have to turn. I like having my cruise control on so my feet can be in a more comfortable position. Ooh, that's a big rock. Mom's neighbor wants me to bring home some rocks from Canada. I was thinking I should just stop and bring rocks from everywhere. I mean, I'm in Pennsylvania. These are going to be coal rocks. A lot of coal in Pennsylvania. I wonder what will happen with the presidential election. I guess I'll know long before this is uploaded. One president wants to, or one candidate wants to use the oil and the coal. Oh, look, another deer. Oh, how wonderful. There's a whole family of them gone to heaven. All that meat going to waste. That's a lot of meat, There's a lot of meat on a deer. All you got to do is take it home. You want me to tell you about it? I'll tell you. If you think it's going to be gross, then just move on. Look, another dead deer. Oh my word. It's amazing there have any deer left if this is what they go through every night. Or maybe those are not all from last night. That's true. If they've been sitting, loading up. Anyway, what you do is when you see a dead deer on the road, first you feel it. If it's warm, if it's warm, not from the weather, then, and if it's not bloated, usually it's best to only take a deer if you've seen it killed. Or you just drove by and there was no dead deer and you're driving back and now there is a dead deer, so it had to only have been done in the last hour or something. That's the best. So you take it and you get it in your car. That is the first hurdle, because you may get the back end in, but while you got the back end in, the front end is sitting on the ground, and when you go to leave the back end in to reach down and take the front end and the head to put in, the back end falls out. And you can't just lift it up with the legs. You can't just pick it up because they weigh about 150, 175 pounds. A lot of meat on a deer. Unless it's a fawn. We won't talk about that. That's too sad. Ben, I still see that. Ben, that's I am. Yai. Yai is you, or he. Yai. You are so, would be so. Z-O or Z-O is so. Selic. Selic. I don't know the meaning of that word. I know that you say, Minya, so selic, when somebody is sad or crying, or especially a little child. Because we always said that to our children. They will remember that, Minya, so selic. Oh, this truck is coming. There are slower trucks in front of me. Okay, we're in front. You like riding with Nancy? Riding met Nancy. No, but you put the verb at the end, so it's met Nancy riding. Riding is to ride or to drive. Met, of course, is with. You know that. Nancy met riding. No, met Nancy riding. I have no idea, just that you can correct me now. You probably watch this video, but you might not. You are a busy lady. How about you, Alki? You're busy spinning? Oh, it's so pretty. Can you see how pretty it is? Yeah, you don't have as good a view as me. I got bad view. You only got bad view. Owned. Owned. So my kids would say, I owned it. I got the better deal. Oh, look at it. They're having some strip clearing. Yes, indeed. Selling off the trees. Yipper. Maybe they're going to develop it. Take it from a nice wilderness and make it into a civilized location where they can have flat pavement and a building full of stuff that everyone wants, nobody needs. What's that great song? What was a great song about that? Put up a parking lot. Put up a parking lot. I'll have to look that up. I'll have to look that up and learn those words. I love learning. Do you love learning? So, yesterday, while I was in the hotel room last night and this morning, I went through all of my... I think I started to tell you about this. I also started to tell you about how you do a deer. Oh, well. I get a little distracted. And I don't even have Alzheimer's. At least I don't think so. We don't know. I do spend time staring. Of course, that's what I'm driving. There's a car off the side of the road. He does not want to get hit. Gee, it's pretty. It's so cozy. You know, I like winter. It's not winter. It's only October or something, and it's only 14 Celsius plus, so it's not even cold. But it's really cozy. I feel like I could just curl up and go to sleep. Not while I'm driving. But I am on cruise control. So I'm only partly necessary here. Actually, I'm not on cruise control because I put the brake on. Okay, so we were going to finish telling you. Let's start with the very beginning. First thing I was going to tell you was about Skyping with Willem. Okay, when I'm Skyping with Willem and I'm trying to say something to him, like I bought a kayak today. I'll put it in, I'll type it in on Google Translate in English, and it'll tell me the Dutch, and it's always wrong. It always puts the verb, it doesn't put the verb at the end. The verb has to be subject, object, verb. I'm learning a lot. I love this. Willem's a good teacher. Sort of. Except he always says that I pronounced it wrong. But then I'm working on it, and my pronunciation is getting really good. Anyway. If I might say so myself. Which I do. Oh, thank you. Yeah, very good. Okay, so I do everything on Google Translate, and then I read it to him, and he says, no. This part goes there, and this part goes there. So I have to rearrange it all. And then, of course, they'll give me the wrong word. But if you click on the word, it'll highlight it and it'll give you a list of other words that would work. So I read him the list and he tells me the right word. So then I say the sentence. And of course, it's backwards. So I have to fix it. And then, oh, now we got a real cloud. Look at how cloudy it is. I have my lights on for safety. Canadian cars all have automatic lights on. If you buy a car in the United States and you bring it to Canada, you have to make sure it has running lights on. Okay, so after I've written a sentence and have it translated and have Willem correct it and have corrected it myself, chosen the right words, then I copy and paste it into a document. And I open these documents on Word, and I open, oh look, it's really getting cloudy. We're in the clouds. Look at this, we're driving in a cloud. They han, no, ik ben in het, or de cloud. Don't know if it's het or de because I don't know what cloud is. But I could probably find out. I do have apps on my iPod. Okay, so I make a new document, which is a blog post document. I copy and paste it in there and I write in the English. And then after I've done a day of it, or a conversation on Skype, I click post to blog and it goes on Blogger. I'm Nancy today on Blogger. And you don't need to know that because I'm also Nancy today on LiveJournal. But anyway, so I post it and then I copy it over and post it to LiveJournal. Ooh, it's so cloudy. It's so pretty, pretty, pretty. Had to go around a car that was sitting on the edge. It was on the edge of time. It wasn't at the edge of the world, but you can see it from here. Okay, so then yesterday I went through all those sentences and I wrote each of them down on a little card. See, I have each of them written down on a little card. And so I can hold it by the steering wheel and I can glance at it. It says, I take a shower now. And then I can glance at it. Ik neem een douche nu. Ik neem or name. Ik neem, E-E-N is een if it doesn't mean one. If it means one, it's een. Ik neem een douche. Or douche. It ends in an E, and so you always pronounce the E, which is an A sound. Douche nu. Ik neem een douche nu. I take a shower now. Okay. Ik ga. It should be ik ga, wouldn't it be? Ga is to go. I go, take a shower now. Ik ga neem een douche nu. Anyway. That's for later. So that was the first thing I do. So now I have all these little flashcards. So when I'm sitting around, I can flash them at myself and I can practice them and memorize words and remember, because I've already gone over these sentences with Willem and they've been arranged. And
take exit 116 on right to PA 901.
No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so now the second part of this conversation, which you cannot imagine that I'm still on about these deer. Okay, so the deer. Oh, look, there's a raccoon. Added to the collection. You know what would be fun? To have a dead zoo. Yes, I've talked about it many times. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I just think it's a nice idea. You would take all the dead animals that you find on the side of the road and you would hang them up.
Exit 116.
In a row. Like from an old swing set. And then you could charge admission to come and see the dead zoo. Now she's going to get real upset because I'm not turning off here at exit 160 to Minersville. I'm going to take I-81 all the way to the New York Thruway. Then I'm going to turn left because that way I don't have to be slowing down. I can just set my cruise control and go. It's very easy. especially when it's foggy, because I know where the cars are, I know where the curves are, and they're not going to come up too fast. And I have more time to talk,
Continue 3
more time to look.
Then take exit 119.
Less time to have to think.
Ridge Park Road.
Okay, so with the deer, what you do with the deer is you take it, you put it in the car. That was step 1, which is really hard. I still have not figured out how to do that. But I think the best way to do it would be something like take the legs, probably the hind legs. Take the hind legs, tie a rope around them, and tie them to the steering wheel. Or not tie it to the steering wheel, maybe pass the rope through the steering wheel and back. And then it acts like a pulley. And then you can could pull your rope hand over hand over hand over hand, and you could pull your deer up into the car. You may want to tie it somewhere. If you have somewhere back behind the car, you could tie it somewhere. Tie it to a tree. That's it. Oh, look, another dead deer. How many is that? 5? 6? I don't remember. I've lost count. Okay, once you get it home, be alert for dense fog. Use caution and deer crossing sign. Yes, indeed. They are on top of things here. That DOT, those dot guys, they know their stuff. Dense fog is here. And I have a car up there who I am following. No! You're gonna get turned off, you know, lady. Or stopped. I might just stop you. But I'd like to have you there. Ooh, it's denser. It's getting denser. Getting denser. These people ahead, you know, they should have their backlights cleaning. Not only on, but okay. Ooh, it's even denser here. I may have to slow down. The denseness. If he slows down, I'll slow down. I am about 20 car lengths behind the car ahead of me. 18. Okay, so once you get the deer home, you can just slide it on out of the car. And if you have the rope tied there, it's good if you back up to your swing set. Hey, stay there. It would be good if you back up to your swing set and you could throw the rope over the swing set. Otherwise, you should drag it around the back of the house to the porch, throw it over the balcony, the railing, and then hoist your deer up. I know it's going to be slow going because it's very heavy. You have to pull and push and tie it in between. Once you can tie it and then do it some more. Okay. So you get it up there so it's hanging up by its back legs. Then you get your big butcher knife. Your sharp knife. And you cut from up between the legs, you cut down the tummy to the ribs. You didn't know you were going to get this in-depth explanation. I told you before, turn it off if you don't want to know. Or sing. Sing while I'm talking. And then when I stop talking, hey look, stop being so foggy. Because you know I will stop talking about that because my attention span is about as big as an acorn. No, that was my brain. No, I have a big brain. It fills the whole head. So you get it up there, and you make a cut. Then you make sure your cut goes through the skin, and there's an inside bag. Go through the inside bag. Be careful. Up at the top, you make a puncture, and then you be careful with the knife. You pull the knife so it's only going to cut the inside bag and the skin. You don't want to cut through all the intestines. No, you don't want to do that. Be careful. You can use one hand in there and then cut with the other hand, pulling and making sure. And then it's possible that everything will fall out. It's best if everything falls out. I didn't mention that at the beginning, if you cut around the anus and then down, then the anus, which has got the old intestines all the way up to it, the whole thing will come down. And it is all closed up and sealed tightly, and you won't have to smell anything. So you take the anus and contents, and you pull them all down, and you scoop and pull it out, and it should all be gone down on the ground into the bucket which you put there, which I didn't mention. Back up, put the deer in the car, drag the deer to the house, put the deer up on the porch, hanging up on the railing, from the railing, get a bucket, put the bucket down there in front of the neck. Okay. Now you may use your fingers and you may scoop out the lungs, which are going to be sort of attached in the ribs. You scoop out, and it's a kind of interesting, lungs are very interesting. They're kind of pink, light pink, and they're fleshy, or not fleshy, but they're, tissue. And they are, I guess, it's about the consistency of a mushroom, like a mushroom inside. But it's millions of air holes all through it. So it's kind of an interesting texture. It's kind of like a sponge. It says 55, my speed is 65. Well then, guess I better slow down. Frackville. I think Frackville is one of the places where I made a note of what the radio station is for here. When I travel north-south, 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 I do many things while I drive, many things. So I find a radio station that I like to listen to, and I write it down on my iPod. So I now have a whole list of all the radio stations between Ontario and down through Syracuse and Frackville and blah, 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 right until you get to Athens, Georgia. Active work zone when flashing. Nothing is flashing. Do they have to come and turn those little flashers on automatic, each one by one? Or there's a lot of cars there. Ooh, they didn't say shift lanes. Lane shift. Frackville. Frack. Isn't fracking what they do to get the oil out? Down deep, they shove water down in very high speed, and it forces the oil out the hole or something. Frack. Someone will tell me. There's 2 police cars with polices in them, talking to one another with their arm out the window. It's a good thing I slowed down. I'm going the same as everybody else. He's getting farther away from me. I think he's speeding up now that the police can't see him. Okay. So, you go back to this situation. Now, what you could do at this point is skin the deer. You didn't think I was going to tell you to do that, did you? Great, turn it off, we'll go on. Okay, to skin a deer. How to skin the deer. You cut around the ankles. Here. You cut around each of the ankles. I haven't done this in a long time, or I would have filmed it. Yes, I would have. So it must be at least since 2007. There was one day, it was a really yucky, cold, rainy, it was kind of like today, but it was cold, and I was with Elida, and a deer came across right in front of us, and it was like, oh my gosh, we just missed it. We just about hit it. We didn't even bump it. Didn't touch it at all. And I was so relieved. And I just sat there and said, oh, I am so glad we didn't hit that deer. I'm so glad our car still works. I'm so glad that we are not stuck here on the roadside with a broken car. Out in the middle of nowhere on a cold, rainy day. And Elida said, you know what Elida said? She was my little girl. She was probably a young teenager. She said, in all of her wisdom, I am so glad that deer is not in the back of the car. I remember once when I had to stop and get a deer, I took the tire out of the well hole. It was, and the whole back of the car that I was using was very nicely painted and smooth. So I removed the tire, put it in the back seat. It was a hatchback. I think it was a Hyundai. And I put the deer in there, and of course he was bleeding, and so it was easy to clean. You don't want to do this on a carpet. Do not collect deer with a carpet. Okay, this is probably getting to be a very long video, 45 minutes long or something. Okay, so I'm going to finish telling you how to do a deer. So, you, probably have to cut it later. I might as well turn it off and on now. But I'm having fun. So, the tail is still on the deer. And you, take this, you cut around the ends of the legs and you cut up the inside of each leg. Because you're thinking of taking off the clothes. You know, this is how you're going to cut the clothes off the deer. And then you pull on the skin, you pull backwards on the skin, and you just pull it off. And if it won't come, because that is possibly what it has in mind, you have to use your little knife and you have to slice around. As you pull the skin, you slice between the skin and the membrane. There's a membrane that holds all the muscles in place underneath the skin. The skin has all the fur on it, and the reason to take all the skin and the fur off is because if you go cutting the deer in half with the fur on, you're going to get pieces of hair all in the meat, and it likes to stick to that membrane. They're all passing me. I guess I can speed up now. 104 is what I can do, but I'm only going 97, 99, 102, 104. There I am, going exactly the speed limit. These people are all speeding. Oh, look at that. Work zone, speed limit 55. Left lane closed, 1 mile. Well, at least it's not quite as foggy. It's better when they close the left lane because everybody comes into the right lane, and that's better. When they're going to close the right lane, everybody's got to go into the left lane, and that's the passing lane, and people are still busy doing silly things like passing. 55. It says 104 on my GPS. My GPS is in kilometers. I like keeping it in metric because I know metric now. Been there for 36 years. I know it. Maybe it's 37. This is our 25th wedding anniversary this year. Okay, it's in December. December 16th, 15th. The 16th is Daniel's birthday. Also, Beethoven's birthday. Daniel was born on Beethoven's birthday, which I think is very significant. Look, another picture of a deer. Okay, so you cut around the ankles, you cut up on the inside of the legs. Hey, somebody put a red dot for the nose. I love it. And you peel the skin off. Okay, then when you get the skin peeled off, with the help of your little knife, which you may have to use because it may be on there pretty tight. Got some strange looking gadgets in there. Holes with red baubles on the top in the cement. Okay, I hope I don't hit a deer. Dear Heavenly Father, please help me not hit a deer. Please watch over me and I'll be safe. No accident, no car trouble, no difficulty, and do not hit any animals. In the name of Jesus Christ. Okay, so now we go back to the deer. So you now have a skinned deer. Now you may take your big mega saw and you may use it and cut it in half. You cannot just break it in half because all the backbones, all the ribs are connected to the backbones. But they have cartilage in between, you know, the discs. So you cut in between all that. You can do it, but it's very tough. Mahoney City, a quarter mile. Hometown is that way. Is that your hometown? Lane shift, it didn't say that. Hey, you better not merge yet. Good. Shift, it didn't say it again. Boy, they really said lane shift last night on some other part of I-81. They said it for miles. Lane shift ahead. They have the double white line. Oh, don't change your lanes. They're waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally it shows up. All trucks must enter way station when flashing. You know what's really cool when you're on a interstate and you've got a truck stop coming up. You got all these trucks on the highway, and they all move over, and they're all in that lane, and they all leave your highway, and they all go down there into the way station, and you're on this lane that's only cars, and over there are all the trucks single file going 2 miles an hour. You get over here to where the merging lane of the trucks, the way station is, and all those trucks are merging right back in. So you have like a 5-second reprieve. It's really cool. It's the dance of the trucks. Truck dance. Oh, look, fog. It was a foggy day. Oh, it's windy fog. Or maybe I'm driving through it. That birch tree had what's it called? Those mushroom things that grow out of the side of the birch. Polypore. Not to be confused with polyps, which are in your nose cavities. These are polypore on the trees. To let you know that it is decomposing as it should. Oh, lots of broken birch trees there. You know why? They must have had an ice storm. Birch trees break. First trees to break. Well, maybe not the first trees. Sometimes they bend. Some are just bent. Delano, exit 134 on I-81. Okay, so now, you're working on your deer. Remember, we're working on our deer. So, you cut it in half. You cut through the ribs in the front. The sternum, you have to cut that with a saw, because a knife unless you have a saw on your knife, but it won't go through because those bones are connected to the sternum. And also, they're pretty hard to cut through on the back. So anyway, you get out your saw, you do that. Now you have half a deer. It's a lot easier to carry half a deer than a whole deer. You take the deer, you go up to it, and you put it over your put it over your shoulder. Of course, you have on your apron. Might be a little bit of blood. Really won't be much blood because you haven't cut through veins or anything. Carry it in the house and you hang it up in the shower and you let it cure for a few days. Or you leave it outside before you did any of that and let it cure. Oh, I forgot to bleed it. Oh my gosh. Back up. First, when you get it on the road, that's a good time to bleed it. But you might not want to bleed it there because it's going to bleed into your car too. Get it in your car, get it home, hang it up, and then you bleed it. Cut the jugular vein right there. And so now the blood is all out there in your bucket or on the ground. Probably on the ground. It's getting late now. It's probably getting dark out. Late at night. Of course, you know, if you see a deer that's just been hit, it is night. So you don't usually see them just hit in the daytime. Unless it's really foggy like this, because they think it might be nighttime and it's safe to go out there and play in traffic. Okay. To avoid hitting a deer, watch for eyes. You have to watch. And you have to watch back. Oh, another one. No, that's not one. That is a tire. A retread. Nobody came to pick it up yet. They'll be along soon. You should put a tag on it. You should put an orange... You know how they put an orange tag on cars that are left by the roadside? You should take some of that orange emergency tape or survey tape. You should tie it onto those. Just for fun. You know what else you could do? I forget. Oh yeah, you make vanilla pudding and you put it in a mayonnaise jar. And then you walk around eating it out of the mayonnaise jar. It's probably best to do that if you're skinny. If you're fat, people are going to be really, not only will they think it's gross, but they'll think you're gross and that's how come you're so fat. Oh well, their loss. So, another thing that's very fun to do is to get into an elevator and you can start singing. Or you get into an elevator and you turn to the whole group, you're on the edge, and you turn to the whole group and you say, now you're probably wondering why I've gathered you together today. Okay, so you take your half a deer, and if you've already had it hanging outside, you just take it and you flop it right down on the kitchen counter. That's right, that's where you work. If you care about your counter, put down a piece of cardboard first. If you don't care about your counter, well then, it's obviously not new like mine. Boy, it's foggy again. Can you see all that fog? You can't you? It's because you can't see anything else. It was a foggy day. That is a pig truck ahead of me. It is. It's a truck that carries pigs. Could carry cows. More likely carry pigs. He's passing somebody. I better pass him too. Because I'm going the same speed as this truck. Better to get over when the truck gets over than to wait till the very last minute when everybody's passing him. What is this guy doing? Coming right up on the other side of me. You think you're going to come in and you're going to go in front of me? Don't you care about your life? Gochenours, trucking. You want to see this? I'm going to show them to you.